Today's live stream where we're going to have lunch with Sheriff Spurlock. Just to give you a little rundown on how it works, if you have any questions for us, literally any questions, you can just put it into the comments of the Facebook Live and we'll go ahead and do our best to answer them. If we're not able to answer them right there live, then we're going to go ahead and do it either typing to you in those comments or we'll get back to you later as we're able to. But there's going to be a lot of great topics and we're going to have a great time, so please just hang out with us. Feel free to listen. Feel free to just add whatever comments you want and feel free to ask us whatever you like and we'll do our best to answer. Thanks so much and we look forward to hearing from you. There everybody, and welcome to today's live stream where we're going to have lunch with Sheriff Spurlock. Just to give you a little rundown on how it works, if you have any questions for us, literally any questions, you can just put it into the comments of the Facebook Live and we'll go ahead and do our best to answer them. If we're not able to answer them right there live, then we're going to go ahead and do it either typing to you in those comments or we'll get back to you later as we're able to. But there's going to be a lot of great topics and we're going to have a great time, so please just hang out with us. Feel free to listen. Feel free to just add whatever comments you want and feel free to ask us whatever you like and we'll do our best to answer. Thanks so much and we look forward to hearing from you. There everybody, and welcome to today's live stream where we're going to have lunch with Sheriff Spurlock. Just to give you a little rundown on how it works, if you have any questions for us, literally any questions, you can just put it into the comments of the Facebook Live and we'll go ahead and do our best to answer them. If we're not able to answer them right there live, then we're going to go ahead and do it either typing to you in those comments or we'll get back to you later as we're able to. But there's going to be a lot of great topics and we're going to have a great time, so please just hang out with us. Feel free to listen. Feel free to just add whatever comments you want and feel free to ask us whatever you like and we'll do our best to answer. Thanks so much and we look forward to hearing from you. There everybody, and welcome to today's live stream where we're going to have lunch with Sheriff Spurlock. Just to give you a little rundown on how it works, if you have any questions for us, literally any questions, you can just put it into the comments of the Facebook Live and we'll go ahead and do our best to answer them. If we're not able to answer them right there live, then we're going to go ahead and do it either typing to you in those comments or we'll get back to you later as we're able to. But there's going to be a lot of great topics and we're going to have a great time, so please just hang out with us. Feel free to listen. Feel free to just add whatever comments you want and feel free to ask us whatever you like and we'll do our best to answer. Thanks so much and we look forward to hearing from you. There, everybody, and welcome to today's live stream where we're going to have lunch with Sheriff Tony Spurlock. Just to give you a little rundown on how it works, if you have any questions for us, literally any questions, you can just put it into the comments of the Facebook Live, and we'll go ahead and do our best to answer them. If we're not able to answer them right there live, then we're going to go ahead and do it either typing to you in those comments, or we'll get back to you later as we're able to. But there's going to be a lot of great topics, and we're going to have a great time, so please just hang out with us. Feel free to listen. Feel free to just add whatever comments you want, and feel free to ask us whatever you like, and we'll do our best to answer. Thanks so much, and we look forward to hearing from you. There, everybody, and welcome to today's live stream where we're going to have lunch with Sheriff Tony Spurlock. Just to give you a little rundown on how it works, if you have any questions for us, literally any questions, you can just put it into the comments of the Facebook Live, and we'll go ahead and do our best to answer them. If we're not able to answer them right there live, then we're going to go ahead and do it either typing to you in those comments, or we'll get back to you later as we're able to. But there's going to be a lot of great topics, and we're going to have a great time, so please just hang out with us. Feel free to listen. Feel free to just add whatever comments you want, and feel free to ask us whatever you like, and we'll do our best to answer. Thanks so much, and we look forward to hearing from you. There, everybody, and welcome to today's live stream where we're going to have lunch with Sheriff Tony Spurlock. Just to give you a little rundown on how it works, if you have any questions for us, literally any questions, you can just put it into the comments of the Facebook Live, and we'll go ahead and do our best to answer them. If we're not able to answer them right there live, then we're going to go ahead and do it either typing to you in those comments, or we'll get back to you later as we're able to. But there's going to be a lot of great topics, and we're going to have a great time, so please just hang out with us. Feel free to listen. Feel free to just add whatever comments you want, and feel free to ask us whatever you like, and we'll do our best to answer. Thanks so much, and we look forward to hearing from you. There, everybody, and welcome to today's live stream where we're going to have lunch with Sheriff Tony Spurlock. Just to give you a little rundown on how it works, if you have any questions for us, literally any questions, you can just put it into the comments of the Facebook Live, and we'll go ahead and do our best to answer them. If we're not able to answer them right there live, then we're going to go ahead and do it either typing to you in those comments, or we'll get back to you later as one. All right. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's live lunch with law enforcement. We are on Facebook Live and YouTube Live today, but please know that we'll be monitoring your questions on Facebook Live only. So if you have a question, that's how it's going to work. You'll do it in the comments section. It's meant to be an interactive experience, so we really want you to take the time to type your questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, and we're willing to address that either on the air or in the comments. And if we're not able to do either of those, we'll get back to you individually. That being said, I suppose we'll just kind of get right in. We're going to have everybody just kind of introduce themselves. Let's today have you give your name. Let's do how long you've been in law enforcement, what your background looks like a little bit, and then your favorite non-work related hobby. Sheriff, you want to go ahead and start?
Sure. Okay. So, yeah, Tony Spurlock, I'm your Douglas County Sheriff, 40 years in law enforcement, all of it here at Douglas County. And my favorite pastime hobby is hanging out with my beautiful wife, Stacy. How about that?
Brownie points.
Brownie points. There we
go. Sarge, what do you think? Let's hear from you.
All right. I'm Sergeant Jeff Miller. I've been with Douglas County for just over 24 years, 27 years in law enforcement. And right now, and I kind of go down the same road the sheriff did, is probably my hobby right now to make my wife happy is Hallmark movies. Since they're playing Christmas movies now. So
there we go.
Wow. And Brian, how about you?
All right, I'm Brian McKnight. I'm here in Community Resources at Douglas County Sheriff's Office. Been in law enforcement 32 years. Love working with Jason and Jeff. And I guess my favorite hobby is messing with my partner, Jason.
I said not work related, Brian.
I do it off work too. I'm okay with that.
Oh man, no. And again, my name's Deputy Jason Blanchard here at the Sheriff's Office. I have been here since 2010, started as a dispatcher, became a deputy, worked in various roles, now in community resources. Favorite hobby is probably travel with my family. I've got I get to shout out too, because if I do it, then I get to get brownie points too. That's my beautiful little family doing their thing. And we love just kind of going out and adventuring anywhere we can see of adventure. So that being said, again, guys, I just want to remind everybody out there that this is a platform where you can ask any questions you want in the Facebook comments, and we will do our best to answer on air. So please feel free to ask as we go along. That being said, anybody want to launch with the first question?
While they're preparing that, I just wanted to say a couple things. I appreciate you guys putting this together, and we thought that this would be an important time for us to talk about not only public safety issues around the election, but what we're doing here at the Douglas County Sheriff's Office and the partners of Castle Rock Police Department, Parker Police Department, and Lone Tree Police Department, of how we've come together to make sure that our community is safe during this time. And when we know that there's been some unrest and there's been some issues in some of the major cities around us, just within 7 miles north, we wanted to make sure that we protected all the citizens inside of Douglas County. So we did come together in a partnership. We've created a strike force, an election strike force, if you will, with 84 law enforcement officers putting under one command, and over a period of days, making sure that we provide appropriate safety and security for not only during the time of the election, but afterwards. So that's kind of just a quick overview, and I can go into some more details later, but I'll give it to you guys if there's a question that pops up, because I have mine set up where I don't get to see questions. So.
Fair enough. Well, got to keep you on your toes. That's the fun part here. First question we got coming in here is, Jeff, what's your favorite Hallmark movie?
I already answered that because they're all the same. They have like 5 different plots. They just change different characters.
Nice. All right. So, Sheriff, we've got Scott Willett here asking, do you agree with the governor or any mayor that has the power to mandate the wearing of masks? And if so, how are you enforcing it? And what are the consequences if the person chooses not to wear one?
Okay, well, I can tell you that public health orders that come from the governors, from CDPHE, and from Tri-County Health, they do have legal authority to make these mandates. And so, as a law enforcement officer, yes, I do believe that they have the authority to do that. We are not actively enforcing the mask. We're looking for voluntary compliance, of course, and we're hoping that people work together. If you want to wear a mask, obviously wear one. If you choose not to wear one, then you don't have to. But keep in mind that private businesses and private companies, they have the legal right to say you can't come into their facility if you don't have a mask on. Keeping in mind that they have much stronger, stricter requirements as a business to follow those mandates and rules. So just keep that in mind. And so, we're not out there, we're not the mask police, and we're not out there writing anyone tickets, and we're not doing any of that. We're working closely with businesses and the health departments to really ensure that we can get through this pandemic with the least amount of illness that gets spread, and that we can protect all the citizens. So.
No, and we hear a lot, and have seen on social media at least, a lot of people that kind of lose their mind when a business says don't come in here without a mask. You are required to wear a mask when we come in, and we do just ask you that. That's going to be when we have to get involved, is if you decide to kind of go off for not wearing a mask in a business when they ask you to. That's when we have to actually come. Just remember that businesses have the right to refuse service to you, and they are going to, because they have to at this point to keep open. And we want all our local businesses to stay open and stay thriving. That's a goal of all of us at this point.
I do want to respond to Corey Nelson. I saw that he's on there. Hey, Corey, we do have our puffer patrol out there. So if you're warming up your car when it's freezing cold, like it was 11 degrees the other day, if you don't have a system in your car that can lock or disengage the vehicle, if it's stolen, you shouldn't let your car warm up outside your house, because people steal them. And we encourage people not to do that. So, and we do have our officers that go around. We have had them go around and knock on people's doors and say, hey, your car is running. Do you know where your car is at if it gets stolen, those kinds of things. So yeah, we want to prevent auto theft, and we want to make sure that people do get their cars warmed up and the windows scraped. Colorado State Patrol did an awesome tweet the other day with one of their cars with 6 inches of snow on it, and they only scraped off a little hole, and they said, this is not proper. So make sure you clear off all your windows so you can see everything that's going around you. So, and I just saw Corey, so I wanted to shout out to Corey. Thanks, Corey.
Very good. And just for reference, last year we did see a couple of vehicles that did have remote start and still got their car stolen because the remote start wasn't functioning as designed. The people were able to get in the car and still drive away. And the remote start doesn't work, or the kill switch works once you turn the engine off, and it won't restart without a key, obviously, but they can still drive away. So just know that in general, even though it is permitted with the remote start, it's a good idea to make sure you are monitoring that vehicle and not going in for that cup of coffee instead.
Well, here's kind of an interesting question. This is coming from Lori. Do you recommend I don't wear my thin blue line clothes or anything on my vehicle? Sounds like her daughter's a law enforcement officer, and she really wants to probably show respect and support for law enforcement. But today,
yeah, I just say, I'll tell you, I mean, here in Douglas County, the community loves law enforcement. There's not a community you don't go into in Douglas County. Any one of the cities, they love their law enforcement. I encourage you to be loud and proud. Fly that blue line flag or put your sticker on it. You obviously want to. I wouldn't take it if there was a protest and a big riot. I wouldn't take your car down there with that sticker on it. Just be real honest, because you're going to draw attention. But I think I would say put it on there. This is we shouldn't be hiding from what we believe and our beliefs. Because a small group of radicals are creating issues. So I'd say wear it, but also I always tell every person, particularly young ladies, be aware of your surroundings, know where you're at, And obviously, don't get out of your car when it's really dark out, and make sure that you let people know where you're at. Your surroundings and your safety during this time and all times are very important, and just be aware of your surroundings, what's going on around you.
And I just had a family member who had a sticker like that on her car. She was alone, definitely in an area that attracted attention, and she did have a negative response to it. The big part, though, as you mentioned, Sheriff, is she did have a plan. She knew what she was going to do. She drove right to the sheriff's office and parked in the parking lot and called in. So they can attract the wrong attention, but she knew what to do, and she's proud to have it there on her car.
All right, next question. What is the likelihood of civil unrest from Denver spilling over into northern Douglas County as we near Election Day? Does DCSO have plans in place to handle such events? That's asked by Andrew Richard.
Andrew, so great question, and thank you. I will just not gonna put it out there. I'm not gonna post it, but this is our ops plan. The chief of operations has put this together for me with one of his captains. This is the 12-page ops plan that has us ready to go. As I told you earlier, I met with the 3 chiefs of police, and we put together a plan. We're calling it a strike force just for police lingo. And each agency has put resources in. We have 84 law enforcement officers that are part of this. And really our plan is to be out there more, looking at the election sites, looking at all the drop locations. There's 41 different locations in Douglas County where you can take your ballot and drop it. And our goal is to make sure that those are safe and that people can exercise their right as an American citizen and vote. And together we came up with a plan that in the event if we see some kind of unrest, and I will tell you that I have been looking at and been studying from a variety of different locations, PERF, Law Enforcement Magazine, Police One. I saw an article in the Washington Times this morning all about law enforcement, Department of Homeland Security. Everyone is on high alert. Everyone is being prepared to see what's going to happen. And we're doing the same thing here in Douglas County. So if for whatever reason it looks like it's going to be coming down, or there's an issue that might start here in Douglas County, we're prepared. We're prepared to act. And as I've said many times on this, we will not let you destroy our property. We will not let you block our roads. And we want to make that very clear. And we've asserted ourselves in that this is we need to have a peaceful. 2 things. We need to have a peaceful election, and we need to have a peaceful, orderly transition of power, and we need to make sure that those things occur. That's what America's about. And as a law enforcement officer and as an elected sheriff, I hold those things very sacred and very important. And so we have planned, and again, with the 3 chiefs of police, I think we've got a great plan together. In the event that we see anything, we will take action immediately to make sure that it doesn't get out of hand.
Very good. Next question. Sarah asks, do you have any plans on making community safety changes to the town of Castle Rock? Which, yeah, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you that I have been working with the chief of police, and we are working together on this. Regular safety plans. The police department is working on things, and I can assure you that the chief there has got things well in hand with his agency, and they're doing exactly what they need to be doing to make the community safe and make sure that people can come and go throughout that community safely. So I will tell you that we work closely together, but I would assure you, if you live in the city of Castle Rock, you've got a great police department, great chief of police, and they're doing very, very great work, and they have some great plans, and they're a part of this operational plan as well.
All right, here's a question from Sean. Does concealed carry get overlooked since masks are mandated in stores?
Sean, I saw that, and I've been asked that before. So concealed carry, you have to get a concealed carry to legally concealed carry in the state of Colorado. You can open carry in the state of Colorado with a few exceptions. There's some exceptions that you can't do that. Those are some buildings or places that have placards that prohibit you from doing that. Federal buildings, courthouses, those kinds of things. But wearing a mask in itself does not negate or require any other action. If you're carrying a concealed, if you have a concealed hand carry permit, you can cover your whole face. And that doesn't change anything, so you can still do it. I know that banks are obviously concerned about it, and they've asked people, and that's why they limit the number of people that can come into some banks that are wearing masks and such. But it does not make a difference for the statute in regards to carrying a concealed weapon and having your mask on.
Very good. I've got a question for Brian here. What is being done to address the uptick in porch pirates and car thefts?
Well,
Okay.
that's definitely something we're seeing a lot of, right, Sheriff?
Yes, yes. So I will let me just jump in here to two things, Brian. I'll let you respond to, because what we're doing education-wise is we have our SET team and our impact team, and they are doing a great job on focusing on auto theft and the porch pirates. And because we're going into the holiday season, there'll be even more of that happening. We're asking for the community to help us, and I'm going to let Brian talk a little bit about some of the things that he does in regards to how we work with community and your cameras and your home cameras and those kinds of things.
Yeah, we have a great new program that we just started kicking off. You can find it on our website. It's the Community Camera Partnership. This partnership really helps us out, as our community is the eyes and the ears of the sheriff's office. What you do there, if you have cameras on your home, you can register them through our program. And then if something happens around your community, such as a porch pirate taking items throughout the streets, we have access to contact our community and say, hey, take a look at your cameras. And if you have something, please share it with us. It's a program where we're working together to put more eyes out there and use technology to help us out. It's a great program. It's one way we're catching some of these porch pirates, because it may not be on your house, but you catch something that happens across the street. So with the SET team working out there in the street, looking for the problems, we have people reporting suspicious activity. If you see people walking up and down the street, stopping in front of houses that might have things on their porches, please give us a call. Let us know what you're seeing. And then that other part of the camera systems, the more people that register and agree to share information with us, the easier it is to catch these guys and see what's going on. So those are some of the things we're doing right now.
In the camera partnership, it's not, we don't have access to those cameras.
No.
All it is you're telling us, yeah, we have cameras, and if something happens in my neighborhood, I'll look at my cameras and share it with you. That's all it is.
And it's been a positive program already, and we've used those cameras to help catch some bad guys already.
Very good. We have Trey Hess asking, Sheriff, do you believe there is systemic racism in policing? They see that there are a lot of posts and tweets from prominent government officials addressing it.
So I've got one of my chiefs in here, Chief Johnson, that's helping me out with some of this, and he said no. And I just want to tell you that my job is the Douglas County Sheriff, and I'm important to be a part of this community. And when we talk about racism in this community, I can tell you that we don't have a systemic issue here. And I would like to think that in law enforcement across this country, yes, there are bad things. There have been bad cops, and there have been cops that have done bad things. But as a whole, there are great law enforcement officers across this country that protect every citizen in their community. And the goal is that we have open, honest conversation and communication. If there's someone that feels that they are being discriminated against or there's some issue, they really should reach out to the leadership of that agency. And I encourage people to do that here in Douglas County. And I know that the 3 chiefs of police agree with me on this. We want you to come in and talk to us. We want you to share your stories if you think that there's been something that has gone wrong, and we want to correct it. We want to make sure that every citizen that lives in this county has the freedom to move and to act and to be an American and do as you see fit to raise your family and run your business and all of those kinds of things without any kind of racism or distraction from your ability to do it. So I think obviously there's laws in place that prohibit this kind of behavior as well, and we would enforce those aggressively as well.
Well, you know, I was involved in an incident recently where a guy tried to pull the race car getting arrested, and we had to make it clear that it has nothing to do with race. It has to do with you breaking the law. And that's a term I really like lately myself, is just behavior-based profiling. We don't profile based on anything other than what you're doing. So if there's a reason, we're arresting you because there's probable cause for that arrest. You were doing something to get arrested, not necessarily because of any other reason. You had to be doing something for us to contact you to get that arrest done. And that's across the board. Doesn't matter who you are. If you're doing something wrong, you're breaking the law, we're going to have that interaction with you appropriately.
All right, here's a question from Allison from CPR News. Can you tell me whether you've seen anything around voter intimidation ahead of the election? Any reports anywhere of drop boxes or anything to do with like voter intimidation or?
No, we haven't. And I will tell you that we've been working with the clerk and recorder, and we have a number of officers that are assigned to the clerk and recorder, and some of my staff is part of collecting ballots and securing those ballots under the authority of the clerk and recorder. And they've gone through extensive training. And again, we are part of another arm of the government to make sure that the elections are done freely and openly, and you are allowed to do it. There are signs posted at every one of those locations. There's no electioneering 100 feet within sight of a polling place, and that includes drop boxes as well. And we have not seen any, heard any, or had any reports of any kind of disturbance here in Douglas County that would affect anyone from turning in their ballot. I will say this, that you now have to take it to a polling place or a drop box. You cannot put it in the mail. Do not do that because it won't get to the clerk and recorder in time. So please, if you haven't done that, make sure that you don't put it in the mail. I want to make sure that everybody gets their voice heard. And so there are 41 different locations. You can go on the website, Douglas Votes, and there are locations where you can find your closest drop spot where you can drop your ballot off. So that's my little plug for the clerk and recorder, and make sure they can get your ballots in.
I've got Sharon asking, this is just a follow-up to the puffer talk that we had a little bit earlier. If you have an extra key, can you start the car and lock the doors to warm it up? The answer is no to that because it's real easy to just break out the window and take off with your car still. So it has to be a true remote start to be able to do that.
And I will just jump onto that too, and Jason just said it. We get a car stolen on average every day here in Douglas County, and what we want to do is we obviously wanted to reduce that. We have reduced our auto thefts by the impact unit and our SET team, focusing on that. But we really need the community's help. Make sure you take your keys out, take your purses and your valuables out of your car, close your garage door at nighttime. Make it difficult for the criminal to get your property. And because they're generally lazy, they'll just walk by a place that's locked and there's nothing in it. But if you leave it unlocked, your keys in it, they're going to take advantage of it. They're opportunists, and they will take advantage of that. So save your vehicle and save your money.
Here's a question for you, Jason.
Yep.
Is there anything that can be done at the county law enforcement level to enforce residential speed limits and install speed bumps on streets that show signs of speeding?
So speeding is obviously an issue nationwide, really. Everybody wants to go faster than what the posted speed limit is. It's things that we do try to address. We have a traffic team here at the sheriff's office. One of the things you can do is call our traffic complaint line. The number for that is 303-660-7500. That's our non-emergent line, actually, and they will get you to the voicemail for the traffic complaint line. Just to give fair warning, once you give that report to that traffic complaint line, it's kind of like releasing the hounds. The traffic guys are there specifically to enforce traffic. So don't be upset if you're speeding after you completed or complain about being speeders, and then you get pulled over and get a ticket. You got to be warned on that one because it is. Those guys are there specifically to enforce that. When it comes to speed bumps or any other traffic control devices, we can put up the temporary speed signs or anything along those lines, which are effective. They do help with the speeding issues in an area. Again, that's all controlled by that traffic team once they are released. But we do not necessarily have control over speed bumps or anything coming in. If you are on county roadways, that would have to go through traffic engineering and all that kind of stuff to get anything like that approved and accomplished. But if there is a big issue in areas like with a light or anything like that, we do work very closely with traffic engineering to try to get those issues resolved to make sure we can reduce speeding, reduce accidents, reduce crashes. That's really our goal with traffic related.
So a comment from Sarah saying we have a huge problem with speeding in Founders Village, also Fireman's Park. Those are all in Castle Rock, so that's something that Castle Rock Police Department would have to address. So, and I'm sure that if you call them, they're more than willing to address that.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry, I'm reading some longer posts myself, some longer questions.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah. So here we go. I've got a question here. Okay. So one of the questions is, are we being asked to enforce some of the restrictions on homes where people have been quarantined, or if you have unfortunately contracted COVID-19, are we enforcing that? We are not. I will tell you though that the health department is really working closely with anyone who tests positive with COVID-19 to do contact tracing, so we can minimize the number of people who might continually affect other individuals. And we are doing that here in Douglas County, and it's been working very well. We are doing it with Douglas County government itself, and so we've been keeping track of those who have been tested positive and doing contact tracing, just to make sure that they haven't been in large groups, and then we have to be concerned about those large groups. So we are doing some things like that, but we're not going into people's homes, and we're not saying, well, you tested positive, so we have to, nail shut your door. We're not doing those kinds of things, because again, this is where it's proud to be Douglas County. We have one of the lowest rates, but those rates are still dangerous. We have one of the lowest rates of testing positive for COVID-19, and I really attribute that to the people of Douglas County following the rules, staying out of big groups, wearing masks when they are in groups, and obviously doing the basic 101 things of sanitary, washing your hands. If you're sick, don't go out, those kinds of things, and we've had a lot of success with that. So.
She wanted to know the number of people allowed to visit.
I'm just going to go ahead. Jennifer Beckman, you got a pretty long, complex question here. I'm going to just give you my number. I'll do it in the comments here, and you can call in to get some direct questions done with what's going on, and maybe some advice with that stuff. But Sheriff, would you mind addressing a little bit about how victims are protected in the system that we have?
Sure. So in Colorado, we have what's called the Victims' Bill of Rights, and in many crimes, all of the crimes against persons and some other criminal acts, if you were a victim of that, you have the right for a number of protections. And one of those really is that you have an advocate that's either assigned to you from a law enforcement agency, the district attorney's office, or after conviction, probation and parole, and even in the Department of Corrections. So every one of those entities have different layers of victim advocacy that provide services to victims if unfortunately you become a victim of a crime. We want to make sure that any victim that has reported a crime has the appropriate protections to have the proper information, their information safe and secure, and that we provide them with resources if they need a restraining order or any of those kinds of things. So each one of those agencies has an individual. We have one. Andrea Bradbury is ours here in Douglas County Sheriff's Office, and she does a great job on taking care of the victims that fall within inside our jurisdiction. And of course, maybe Jason can answer some more of those or give that phone number if you have any specific questions. But we have a great unit. And if you want to find out more about that unit and what we do to help victims, please feel free to call our office and even ask for Andrea Bradbury, and she'd be happy to answer any of those questions.
So, Sheriff, there is a statement here from Brian Southard. One of the things you mentioned is a change in power. I want to make it clear that you were actually referencing whatever it looks like, not necessarily one way or the other. And I know in a previous post you were willing to share how you voted or anything like that. Do we want to say anything like that, or would we rather skip over that and leave your private business your private business?
Well, I think that everyone's business, their voting business, who they vote for, is their private business. Obviously, I'm an elected official, and I have publicly come out and have endorsed certain candidates. Obviously, if I endorse them, I'm going to vote for them. I mean, I'm not hiding from that, and I'm not afraid to say that. But I would tell you that my comment about, making it a peaceful process is a global process, making it sure that every process is peaceful. Every American has the right to be able to cast their ballot as they see fit and have it done in a safe manner and have it properly counted for. And then as Americans, we should, and we have for over 200 years, accepted the outcome of elections. And that was really just my comment. I'm not projecting anything. I'm not, I don't have my crystal ball working here today. So, but I would encourage everyone to, like I said before, when I said go out and vote, you can't mail it now. So make sure that you go and do it at one of the polling places. So I have a question in regards to fires and what's going on with the forest fires and how are we currently sitting. That's a great question, Corey. I tell you that, we have provided resources to fires in northern Colorado, western northern Colorado, and we've sent some of our firefighters. I have firefighters that work for the sheriff's office that are fire mitigators, and we have sent our resources there. Our helicopter, I believe still, it might be, we may have expired our contract this week, but I will tell you that we are still in a high danger zone, fire risk danger zone right now. Even though we had that snow, it was a dry snow, it wasn't wet. And if you look up into the mountains, you still see that everything is pretty dry. So we're encouraging everyone to use caution when you're in the forest. I believe that we are on a fire ban in the forest, a stage 2 fire ban in the forest across the state of Colorado. And so that means no open fires whatsoever. You can only have gas or something that you can turn off. And it's so important that we protect our natural resources. So when you do go camping, and if you do smoke, don't flick your cigarette out the window and don't start fires. And I will like to say this, we have a location in Douglas County where you can go up and shoot, and we encourage people to do that in areas where they're confined. But please don't use tannerite or exploding targets, because they burn at an incredible rate and heat, and we've had numerous fires up there. And just ask people to be reasonable and responsible when you're up target shooting in the national forest. I do believe right now it is prohibited to target shoot in any national forest or state forest in the state of Colorado right now. But there are a few places that you can do it on private land. So just use caution when you're doing that, because it's very difficult to put those fires out.
Hey, Jason, did you see this question here? They're asking about weekend street racing going on. One of our residents lives near Colorado Boulevard and Benford Ranch, and they're seeing a lot of this going on frequently at night during the weekends.
So street racing is a difficult topic to address, but we do have and have put out task force in an attempt to try to catch as many as possible. It is standard traffic enforcement, but they also tend to be very reckless. So it's not always a situation without other laws being broken behind just traffic related laws. It's not always possible for us to pursue them or anything like that because of the safety concerns that come around driving at high speeds through the area. A lot of times we are just trying to get that license plate so we can contact later, get that description, get the information we can get at the time so that we can catch them later. A lot of times we're not going to risk the public or anything like that for traffic related things. We are more looking for some other things like where there's other laws being broken before we are able to pursue anybody. So if you see anybody getting lined up or getting ready to start a race or anything like that, that's when we can actually come and have that interaction. Hopefully while they're still parked in a parking lot, because a lot of times they're parking right before. So if you see something that looks like it's about to lead to that, give us a call. We'll come and start having that interaction before they ever hit the road if we can.
Hey, Sarge, I'm gonna answer a question from Terry real quick, but I want to touch base on what Jason just said. So, we do get a lot of complaints about noise and hot rodders and racing along Lucent and Highlands Ranch Parkway and Colorado Boulevard, Quebec, all those streets that have a lot of straightaways on them. And, what we'd like for you to do is to call us when you hear it immediately. Don't wait, because those cars are going at 70, 80 miles an hour.
Right.
And we have a lot of officers that are working in those areas, and we can deploy them and maybe intercept those cars, and particularly the ones that are making a tremendous amount of noise at nighttime. We can impact them as well, particularly if they have modified their muffler system from the manufacturer. There are some statutes that prohibit those kinds of things. So we like to make sure that we stay on top of those. And I know that I've talked to a number of people that are very concerned about that. So I wanted to answer a quick question from Terry about how many red flag laws that we have pushed through the red flag. We have requested 3 of those to be heard by the court. They have been heard by the court, and all 3 of those, the individuals that were the subject of it, have cooperated not only with the court but with law enforcement, and voluntarily gave up their firearms while they're in an extreme risk, mental health risk situation. And so that system is working. And here in Douglas County, we have a lot of other mental health things that we can put into place before we get there, hopefully. And we use our CRT team. We have 4 of them. Again, that's a regional thing that we're doing here with the law enforcement agencies around and inside Douglas County. And we have a deputy and a mental health clinician that go out and do the immediate assessment of folks. Just at our award ceremony, we were able to give a young lady an award for her great work in doing that. And so we want to make sure that we impact that really difficult time in people's life when they are having a critical mental health crisis. And so we try to get in front of that as much as we possibly can and use our resources that we have here in Douglas County to help those folks. But in the event that it gets to that dangerous point, we've used 3 of them. We've used it 3 times. All 3 times it went through the court system, and we've received voluntary compliance with all 3 of those individuals. So Terry, great question, and appreciate you asking that and asking for more information on it.
Here's a question for you, Brian. Now that elementary schools are in full session in Douglas County, and due to the fact that there's limited busing systems now, is there a way to make crossings at major intersections safer? He's saying that our 4th grade daughter was almost hit yesterday crossing Colorado Boulevard in Siskin. They want to know how they can request a crossing guard or a 4-way stop for elementary school children.
I think that's kind of twofold. There's our involvement with the sheriff's office and notifying us, getting hold of our traffic team and letting them know of the traffic issue there, but also working with the schools. We're seeing that a lot of the schools are working together trying to solve some of that traffic issue. I know when we kick off our school year, our traffic unit has a whole mission on how to deal with traffic safety and our children. So it's definitely a partnership with our schools. We can also forward the information to our school resource officers who are working directly with the schools to help problem solve and look for ways to get additional people helping with those crossing guards. A lot of those crossing guards end up being parents and volunteers through the school and trying to make those areas safer. And those are things that we've done in the past.
I've got Kevin Ryan here asking, again, he joined late and didn't hear us talking about the post-election civil unrest preparation that we've done. But just a quick answer, yes, we have. And we're ready for whatever may come. Hopefully nothing, because everybody's going to be peaceful, right? But one of the questions he asks is, what should we be doing to keep everyone safe, as in the public be doing to keep everyone safe?
Sure. Thanks, Kevin. And the chief is going to respond to some of that, give you a little bit more information in the chat, so he'll be responding to that right now. But one of the things that you can do really is, and we say this a lot, if you see something that looks out of order, you see something like Jason just said, cars lining up on the road, you see something that doesn't look right, call law enforcement immediately. You can either call the non-emergency line, or if you're in a situation where, oh my gosh, this doesn't look right, you can call 911, and the closest PSAP will pick that up. We think it's so important that if the community involves itself, I'm not saying engage those individuals, I'm saying call law enforcement immediately, be a great witness. Tell us what you see, give us the information. Our dispatchers from all 4 of the agencies here in Douglas County will ask those pertinent questions, and you can really be a great resource to us when we are looking for something. And we often see things, we often hear things from people that is a preparation to a crime, and we're able to interrupt that because of the great citizens of Douglas County calling us up and saying, boy, this just doesn't seem right. And when we're talking about, the post-election stuff and some civil unrest, it's important to call us and say, boy, I just don't understand. This doesn't look right. There's, whatever the scenario is, share it with law enforcement. It's our job. We'll go take a look at it, and we'll determine if it's just a bunch of kids in a parking lot. I was driving home the other night, and by a school, I saw probably about 15 teenagers in a parking lot, and they were all gathering together as they were going to get ready to go and do a birthday surprise for one of their friends as a drive-by. And so on a first glance, it looked like, wow, what are these kids doing in front of the school here, milling around? And it turned out to be innocent, but it's okay to notify that. We're not going to once we realized what was going on, they went on their way and everything was fine. So we really encourage you to be a part of the solution, and that is share information with law enforcement.
And we are also,
oh, yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Sorry, Jason. We're also seeing that a lot of people are seeing things on Facebook and social media that become a concern through those type of things, and then reporting it to us of suspicious things going on through conversations on Facebook and social media. And sometimes those lead us to good information and solving problems before things occur.
I think that's a big something that needs to be identified for the public in general, for all of you guys out there, is just letting you know that law enforcement in general is very reactive. We do catch people in the act in a lot of things, but you need to know that the primary way that we catch the bad guys or catch whatever may be happening in the act is by you letting us know. And again, a lot of people hesitate, say, I didn't want to bother law enforcement. I thought it was no big deal, or I figured somebody else would call or something like that. Just know that we want you to call us. If there's something suspicious or something wrong or something that just isn't sitting right with you, give us a call. At worst, it's going to be giving us the ability to go say hi to somebody in person, which is rare these days.
Yeah, there's a lot of times we could be driving down the street and we could see somebody getting into a car that wouldn't think anything about it. But somebody that lives in that neighborhood knows that person is suspicious or that car is suspicious. We don't know that. That's why it's so important for people to give us a call.
Kind of on a similar topic, we've been getting a lot of contacts lately. I'm going to kind of go into that Franktown meeting just a little bit, Sheriff, if you're good with that.
Go for it.
So one of the things we noticed is that there was, with the whole talk of civil unrest and the possibility of coming down into this county, we had some people reaching out saying, what would you do if civil unrest ever came? And people were saying, well, I'm going to get on my horse and bring my rifle and make sure that doesn't happen and start burying people. And that is not okay. That's not what we're looking for. Okay. We are looking to have a peaceful, again, if people are protesting peacefully, we encourage that. If they're doing it legally and do it within the rights, then great. But if it comes down to civil unrest, somebody's coming to try to destroy property, we've noticed a huge increase in the purchase of guns with not a lot of education to back that up. A lot of people are saying, I want to protect my family. I want to protect my home. I'm going to go buy myself a gun. But they don't take the time to actually train themselves on how to properly operate it, safely operate it, properly store it, come up with plans. There's a lot to think about if you have a gun. Colorado law does say that you can use reasonable physical force to protect your property. There's no issue with that as long as you're doing it reasonably, but you got to understand that your reasonable may be very different than a judge and jury's reasonable. Brian, you have a great story. You want to tell your story about the guy with the graffiti or the vandalism?
Yeah, I had a situation ways back where a gentleman had his house being vandalized numerous times. They were spray painting the garage door, vandalizing the car. This gentleman was getting tired of what was happening. We were working on the case, trying to deal with suspects. He spent the night in the garage, ended up catching them in the act. Unfortunately, he took a little bit too much aggression on it using a baseball bat and caused severe injuries, very severe injuries to some of the suspects. And it ended up being charged with some really rough crimes because of his aggression in trying to protect his property. And the courts at the end said his aggression with the bat and creating those injuries was way too far and above and beyond what was expected to protect property. So it was a tough case, and he definitely ended up getting charged and found guilty with that assault with the bat.
And that's, I think, a great example of what can, where it could go. Just know that if you choose to defend your property, that you're probably going to find yourself in a lot of litigation, and you're going to have to be able to articulate that what you did was reasonable. And you are able to protect your family and your life up to lethal force, using deadly lethal force. But again, it needs to be reasonable, and you need to be able to articulate that there was a threat to your life. The Colorado Make My Day law is not as clear cut as a lot of people think that it is. A lot of people think that if somebody comes into my house, I can just shoot them. Well, that's not necessarily the case. If they're coming in just to steal something and you shoot them, there's you're probably going to be a suspect of murder at that point, which is something you need to keep in the back of your head when you're thinking of these things. On the other hand, if somebody comes in and you say, get out of my house, I have a gun, and they continue to charge you, and you can articulate or you believe that they are going to be a deadly threat to you or your family, well, then you are justified in using that deadly physical force, but you also still need to know you're probably still going to be having to defend yourself in court. So
I'm going to add on one thing. There was a comment about, protest and peaceful protest, and if they're starting fires or whatever, and that is right. There's no dispute here. A peaceful protest is, and we've seen that here in Douglas County. We had a whole bunch of people on Quebec and C-470, and we allowed them to exercise their First Amendment right. And they've done that around over in Parker and in Castle Rock 2 or 3 times, in Highlands Ranch. And those are peaceful protests. We nothing was caught on fire, nothing was destroyed. When you start to do that, you leave the realm of peaceful protest under the First Amendment, and you now are committing crimes. And as I said earlier, we're not going to tolerate that here in Douglas County. And if you participate in that, well, then you're likely to get yourself arrested. And what we are encouraging people all the time is, if we can see these things gathering, we want to have that conversation with their leadership and make sure that we can ensure that there is the opportunity to peacefully protest. And you can have two two groups of people on either side of the street asserting their First Amendment right, and they should do that. Getting in the middle of the street and then punching each other out is a crime, and we will arrest you, and we have done that, and we did it in Highlands Ranch, and we won't tolerate that. So we just encourage that people use good common sense and respect another person's position and allow the system to work itself out. So I do appreciate those questions, and we get a lot of those often. And I appreciate your comments, Jason, about gun safety, and make sure that you protect yourself in your home, but also do it safely as you possibly can. So great job.
I've got Nate Martinez asking, is Douglas County an open carry county?
Douglas County is, like almost every other county in the state of Colorado. Again, like I said, there are some provisions that restrict that, and those are restricted by law, and they're allowed to do that. And some of those are businesses, courthouses, any business that has a sign on it with a gun and with a slash down it, you're not allowed to open carry in those businesses, and each business has the legal right to do that. That's under our law as well. So, excuse me, you can open carry, but I would make sure that you know where you're going and know where you're going to be going into some businesses, so you don't get stopped if they prohibit that, particularly in courts and other government buildings.
And for those businesses, is it okay for them to conceal carry in those businesses that say no with the gun with the X through it?
You know, that's been an interesting debate. It is. There's some debate on that, and I'm not going to get into legal. I didn't get my attorney on here today. We should. But it definitely is in open carry and in concealed carry. If you're carrying it properly, the term concealed should be good enough, and you should have it hidden, and no one should see it, and no one knows about it. And that was the initial intent. So I think you'll be fine doing that. Although I'm not an attorney, and that wasn't legal advice. So
there you go. Yeah, this is a hard, there are a lot of things that are difficult to answer, especially in a live format. Just know that a lot of times we can look it up. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask with more detail, you can call us afterwards. The number's a few places in there. You can call this team, and we'll do our best to find those answers for you as appropriate and needed.
Very good. You guys are doing a great job. We've been on for 55 minutes and a lot of great questions. I appreciate you guys putting this together, the community relations group, and Steve for helping us, and Kosha here helping answer some of the questions in the background. I just want to close up by really just saying, listen, I really appreciate, and I'm honored and humbled to be your sheriff and to be a partnership with the three chiefs of police, the four agencies, to provide protection during this election cycle. And, we hope and pray that it goes off without any issues. We are prepared, and that's part of our job, to be prepared, and we have done that, and we are ready in the event that something occurs that is inappropriate or outside of the law. And we hope that everyone is safe during this time. I will tell you that we are prepared for it, and I appreciate the many questions and the comments. I will tell you that there's tons of comments on there that are supporting law enforcement and thanking us. I will make sure that the chiefs of police get to have that same bit of information about how the community has really come out to support us and protect themselves and our rights and their rights and everyone else's. So I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I'll turn it back over to Jason and Jeff for any final comments that you have. And again, thank you for having lunch with us. We appreciate it. And back over to you guys.
Well, I've got nothing much more to add. I think this was great, and we just loved having you all on here, and just thank you so much. Obviously, COVID has changed a lot of things, and usually we would try to do these out with you in a coffee shop or at a lunch place and actually be able to sit down and answer these questions in person. But for now, this is going to have to work, and I got to say, I've personally enjoyed being able to reach a larger audience, because usually we get 20, 30 people come to sit down and have a conversation, and now we get to have people all over the country asking.
That's right. It's a great venue to really get communication and see what's going out, what our community's thinking about. I just want to throw this out as the holidays come. Our team is working on our Christmas for Kids program. We're seeing a lot of families in need this year as COVID has hit them hard with their work situation. And we're doing some fundraising to help take care of our kids. We may not be able to go shop with the kids and all that, but we are putting together a program where we're trying to take care of those kids in need. And if you'd like to help out, please let us know. We're going to be putting some stuff out soon, so keep your eyes open about how we're doing that, and let us know if you can help us out.
I just kind of want to thank the sheriff and kind of acknowledge something. There's a lot of sheriffs and police chiefs that wouldn't open themselves up to this type of forum and be open to just letting people ask any question they want. So be put on the spot like you are. So we really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Senator. I'm going to comment. Awesome, your pink badge for supporting Cancer Awareness Month in October. So good to see you wearing that, Sergeant. Appreciate it. I'm going to make one last plug and then let it go. When you get an opportunity to go to Colorado Special Olympics, please do so. An organization that we follow and the collective that's on the screen here do a lot of work in supporting of them. We're having the walk, run, and roll this weekend to try to walk, run, or roll 2,020 miles. That's a whole bunch. I figured that out how many times we were going to have to do that out at our driving track. So, but when you get an opportunity, if you are involved in any of the fundraisers, please support it. Or if you get an opportunity to go to their website, Special Olympics Colorado, we really encourage your support in that. So thank you very much for giving one last plug, Sergeant. It's all yours.
Sheriff, did you secure your electric bike or?
I'm going to find a SRO that looks like they don't want to ride it on this weekend, and I will be riding an electric bike for my time. But I promise to do twice of what I said I was going to walk. Okay. So.
All right.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. It's been a pleasure, and we really look forward to hopefully doing this again, and really, really hope to be able to see you out there in person again in the near future. God bless. Have a great one, and we will see you around.